I guess we'll call this episode 2. Um, what's strange is tonight I was going to bed, and sometimes when you get that pull to, I don't know, make a recording, talk about something important, you kind of have to answer that call. So tonight I'm kind of doing that. I didn't know exactly what I was going to talk about, and so what comes to mind, hopefully it connects with somebody, inspires somebody to be better. The only thing that's coming to mind right now is tonight my wife was out of town, and after I put the kids to bed, I thought, let me turn on a movie, and I haven't done this in a while. Last month, we did a fast, or we basically said no screens, no nothing for the whole month of September, which was an awesome, fascinating thing to do, and I actually encourage everyone to do it. It allowed me to connect with my wife more, my kids more. I found myself reading more books with them, having better conversations with them. You name it. It was incredible, to the point where my daughter's relationship and I got better. And look, we started a podcast together, her and I. And my wife and I we had better conversations, and we didn't have the distraction of the TV in the background before we went to bed, or even during the day. So tonight I turned on a movie. And there's this scene in the movie, not to mention what it is. That's not the important part. But there's a part in the movie towards the end that the father figure was brought to tears because of his relationship with his son. And it kind of resonated with me, because there was another individual just before this scene that basically talked about his mom and his dad he hadn't seen in years. And this other individual, when they were faced against a terrifying circumstance, he called out and said, "I wish my dad was here." And he hadn't seen his dad in years. And so this main character, going back to him in this instance, all he wished he could do was be with his son. Even though his son and him had a strained relationship, his son basically told him he hated him that morning. And so it made me kind of reflect of my relationship with my kids. And then kind of going back to the detox, that was the better word I should have used, the detox that we did last month with technology and with screens. And it became very apparent to me that our kids are screaming from the inside out, wishing that us as parents would be there for them. Screaming just to have a hug, or to say I love you, or to tuck them into bed at night. Or my youngest daughter, she has this amazing heart, but she crawls into bed every night, and I ask her the same question every night. Do you want to say a prayer? And without hesitation, she's always like, yes. And then as we're praying, she just repeats everything I say. And it's always a jumbled mess, because she's 2 years old, trying to form sentences and understand words. And then at the end, she always says Jesus Christ, and then she always says amen every single time. And it's a little tender mercy of, like, without the detox, I don't think I would have taken the time to understand and realize the beauty around us. So it's a fascinating thing that we get distracted too much by the things of the world. Our kids are screaming out to have a conversation, to go on a daddy son or a daddy daughter date, to where they can just have one-on-one time, or laugh about something, or sing a song together, or I still remember my son, one of my sons comes up to me and is always trying to tell me all of these things about his video game, or um, my other daughter who wants to tell me, hey, Dad, watch me do my dance routine or the choreography that I learned in dance this last week. And oftentimes we do let things distract us, that we're not taking the little things that are important and connecting, which connect this to leadership all you want. It's the same principle. Whenever you have a direct report, are we taking the time to actually listen to what they say? If you ask a question, is there something that you can sense that you should, instead of doing what you wanted to do, listen to them and go with the flow of what they need? It was interesting. Today I had a one-on-one, and I wouldn't tell this individual this, but they asked, hey, how are you doing? And I said, I'm doing fine. And I wanted to say more, but it quickly moved into a different conversation of, hey, let's talk about some other things with the business or whatever. And so even my own soul was screaming out, I wish I could talk to somebody about certain things or really say how I'm truly feeling. But I think that connection with my wife has been amazing as we did that detox, because I was able to do that with her. But I also think about other people in the world who want that same thing, that same connection. The other thing that I watched just the other day was, I was watching this clip on leadership from one of my favorite authors. And it's fascinating because he's not an individual that went and studied and has a degree or master's degree or doctorate on people skills or anything like that, but he uses real life experience and his own experience to write books and to explain things in a way that people can understand. And so he's one of my favorite authors. And yes, he does a lot of research behind it. But he talked about something specific that kind of goes along with this, is friendship. There's an epidemic right now happening with friendship in our society, that individuals don't know what it means to have true friends, and what does friendship really look like? Because do people have someone that they can go to when things are tough? Does someone have someone to go to have a difficult conversation? But also in reverse, do we have a friendship that's good enough that we can listen to those other people as well? And every friendship is different. That doesn't mean every friendship is the same. There are some friendships that are stronger than others, some that are just neighbors or just in passing, but others that are deep rooted. And if you didn't have that friendship, then you would struggle in life. Um, and so I think about that too, of going back to the detox that we did this last month. And it's fascinating because oftentimes we do let those distractions into our life, that our kids, are they really learning how to be good friends from us? If I'm sitting next to my wife on the couch just watching a show or on my phone, is that a true friend? If my wife is going through a difficult time, am I listening to her? Am I having the right conversations with her and being that strength for her when she needs it, or vice versa? Or do I have a friend that is constantly calling me, that needs me, that I'm not responding back? And so I think about this a lot, of what are we teaching our kids? Are we teaching our kids the right way to have these types of relationships? Of, do they know how to build friendships? And are we supporting those friendships? And are we teaching them, hey, if they get in a fight with their friend, are they talking about it? Are they going to have a conversation rather than just blowing it off and saying, let me go get a new friend? So it's fascinating that all of these things in some roundabout way are connected. That again, people, kids, youth, adults, we're all screaming for connection. We all want it. We all need it. Without it, we would struggle. And I think when you look at the world we live in with the elevated number of depression, suicide rate, anxiety, the distractions of the world are causing us to forget about what truly matters. And what truly matters are our friends, are our family. Those relationships matter more than anything else. It's fascinating. My wife always tells me things are things. I love technology. I love things. I like to have nice things. But oftentimes I forget that the things right in front of me, the most tangible things, are my family, are my coworkers. You know, we work, some people work 8, 9, 10, 11, 12-hour days. Some people remote, some people in office. And you oftentimes wonder, how are those relationships different? My wife sometimes teases me and says, "Hey, Stephen, when you talk to your coworkers, sometimes you talk a little bit different to them." I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" It's like, you're more patient, you're more loving. And sometimes then when I'm not at work with my kids, I lose my patience a little bit more, or my wife. I don't have a more meaningful conversation. And I think it's because we spend so much time with our coworkers and we build these relationships, but then we build it a certain way that oftentimes there's a facade in front of us of, are we going deeper with those relationships? Uh, and so it's one thing in leadership that I strive for, but also I hope that us as individuals, anyone listening to this can hear too, that our neighbors, everybody around us needs something. They need someone. They need someone to talk to. They need someone to give them a hug, to hold their hand, and to help them through life that gets difficult. And listen to that inner voice that's inside of them. Do the right thing. I think that's the big thing that I've been pondering a lot of. How do we do that in this society has, and I don't want to get too spiritual, but has evil that say, "Hey, don't talk to your friend, just text him," or "Don't go over and see how your neighbor's doing," or "Hey, you're driving down the street and someone's pulled over and needs help. Oh, I don't know if I trust them." All these things around us have been teaching us not to trust people or not to have these types of conversations. Oh, can you tell them that? What happens if I tell them that? Are they going to think of me differently? We can't get afraid of those things. We have to open up. We have to be us. The only way to have a good, meaningful, trusting relationship is to open up, is to be vulnerable, is to share some of the things that we're going through. A good friend of mine always says, I wish that people would just wear on their forehead what they're going through. I would add to that I would love that people not only say what they're going through, but they could also say what they've gone through. Because maybe I need that today. Maybe you need that today. Maybe other people need that today. Maybe we should open our voices a little bit more. When you go back to the other day, I was talking to my daughter and I said the southern mentality, and she was like, "What do you mean by that?" And I said, "Well, the southern mentality is a little bit different than the hustle and bustle of a city or anything like that. When you go to a small town, rural town, which is, I grew up around a lot of those towns, you sit down at the dinner table together. You laugh together, you have conversations together, you experience things differently. When tragedy strikes, like I'll bring up this example, where I live, there were a lot of tornadoes. And so what we would do when a tornado happened, we'd drop everything and we'd go and help people. We'd go rebuild. We'd go clean up. We'd go do what we could to lend the shirt off our back. We didn't care about anything else. When we had ice storms, it was the same thing. Our small town, we'd go help people. We'd be there for them. They would say, "Hey, Steven, I need this." We would go. And a lot of times in the hustle bustle of life, when we're not out in the street, when we're not talking to our neighbors, we don't know. And so then it's when tragedy strikes, what are we doing? Are we helping our neighbor, or are we hunkering down and not? The most recent thing in my mind was the COVID experience that we went through. Were people helping each other? Were they going to get groceries for each other? A lot of times people just had fear. Well, what if they give me the sickness? And instead of, what can I do to go help others? What can I do to help my neighbor? Oftentimes we just think too much of ourselves. I think that's the big thing tonight before going to bed. Maybe that's what I needed to say is we need to forget ourselves. Forget ourselves and think more of others. When we do that, we have good conversations with our kids. When we do that, we have great conversations with our spouses. When we do that, we have great conversations with our neighbors. We don't care so much about time, or I need to do this, or I want to go watch that game. Games don't matter. Even though I love sports, if my wife heard me say that, she'd be like, "Steven, you do care about games." But in the grand scheme of things, should we? Or should we be more focused on the people around us and the relationships building there? Sending a text back to that individual who needs it. Or, hey, let's go get lunch together. Let's go sit across the table from one another. And I think that's what I needed to say tonight. Forget about ourselves. Think more about others. That's how we go beyond just being a leader. We go beyond just doing that. Then we become who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to become. We're supposed to become something more. And I think that is what is driving me to continue to speak out, to continue to speak. And hopefully someone clicks on this video, listens to this, and understands I struggle too. I'm not perfect. I will never say that I'm perfect, and I have a lot of weaknesses. But I'm not afraid to speak. I'm not afraid to raise my voice and hopefully shine my light to help somebody out who needs it so that they can feel better. And that once they feel better, they can help other people. The last thing I'll end with, I heard this from a podcast, and I love it, but it's the lifeboat analogy. If I'm not doing well, I can't help other people. If my boat is sinking, how can I help people? We have to empty our boat first. We have to make sure we're okay. And if you're not okay, speak to someone. Again, I didn't want to get, I guess I call it churchy or spiritual, but maybe kneel down. Because people are there to help. Sometimes you just don't see it. But they're all around us, wanting to help, wanting to lift you up. And then once you're okay, pay it forward. Go help somebody. Whatever that little voice inside of you saying, hey, I need to go talk to that person, go talk to them. Go lift them up. Go be there for them. Because they need to help their lifeboat. They need to get the water out of it and not let it sink so that they can start helping other people too. Again, I hope somebody took something from this tonight, and I appreciate it. Again, this is closing out episode 2. Good night.